Hey, we are on the 5th of Kislev. Hayom Yom. A ladder was standing on the ground. This is, of course, this week's Parsha, Yaakov, in the desert. A ladder was standing on the ground. Prayer is the ladder. It's the ladder that connects souls and godliness. And although it stands on the ground, the start of davening, that's the beginning, on the ground means the beginning of davening, being no more than acknowledgement, right? Moida ani, just acknowledgement. Yet its top, the top of the ladder, so to speak, reaches the heavens. What is that? A state of total bittul, self-nullification. But one reaches this level through the prior attainment of comprehension and understanding of godliness inherent in Pesukei de Zimra, in the berachos of Shema, and in Shema proper. From bittul to hasbaininus, to comprehension, to a meditative state of mind, and to Shimon Esrei. Right. Mitzvahs. We're going to learn something about mitzvahs that lets us understand why Iker, mitzvahs, maasius, deed is the main thing today. In the Kuntras Acharon, page 311 in this book. 311. And in this book, all right, where are we? We're on page Chuf Nun Vav. From the top down, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. The line begins with Chetzonius. Excuse me, I went down too far. The line begins with Masha Ein Kain, this abbreviation, Mem Shin Aleph Chaf. Okay, so we've been talking about the difference between mitzvahs and mitzvahs maasius, deed, and meditation, contemplation, comprehension, all of which are totally important, right? But there is a uniqueness about mitzvahs, which distinguishes them from the other things we just spoke about, as follows. Masha ein kain b'maaseh ha-mitzvahs, on the other hand, different from what we had just been saying, the deed of the mitzvah, maaseh ha-mitzvahs, these are ma'asim elokim hema. These are the deeds of God. The deeds of God. In the manner of descent of godliness from the vessels of Atzilus into the lower worlds, from God's very essence and his very self, as that very self is embedded in the more external aspects of the worlds. What's the most external of all worlds? That is the most ostensibly disguising godliness, or ostensibly not revealing Elokus, is this world, right? And this world is the world, however, in which Maaseh HaMitzvahs takes place, the actual deed of doing a mitzvah. And he uses, for example, Tomei al derech mashal esrog uminov. For example, the esrog and its species, the Dalit species. So in the esrog and the Dalit minim, Hilbish v'hen hakodesh baruch hu memahusun v'yatzmusun. This is the punchline. In the esrog, and he's just using esrog for an example, in the Dalit minim, all the devorim shel mitzvahs, dvar mitzvah, is enclosed in them, the Holy One, blessed be he, from his very essence and from his very self. Right? Anoichi, ana nafshi kosvis v'yehevis. I have embedded my very self in the mitzvahs. God tells us as the first utterance in the Aseres Adibres. The Kodesh Baruch Hu invests his very self. The Chasodim, for instance, if it's a mitzvah that has to do with doing, which is the whole side of Chesed, the Pinimius, or the Pinimium, the innerness of it, of Zah, the innerness of the upper world, the innerness of the Midos, Hainu mibechinas chitzoniuson are delivered in an external manner, as is known, bechol mitzvahs ma'asiyas, in every mitzvahs of deed. Masha enken ha'adam, a person, and we're talking now about the soul of a person. Afilu yesh le neshama d'atzilas, even if the person has a neshama of atzilas, me'akashem melubeshes beguf, since that soul is embedded in a body, le'yochol limtze benafshe lahasig mahusin v'atzmusin shel penimis hakasodin d'zod atzilas. You can't find, it's there, but you can't find it. It's totally covered over the upper levels from which that soul came, even if it came from, but in a mitzvah, the Devar mitzvah is in sitting in front of you, and I'm holding this esrog. I mean, we're looking at it and we're staring at it, and we're saying that he commanded us, he joined into this mitzvah his very self, because this is his most deep desire, is the tikkun, the rectification of this world, which comes through mitzvahs. So his deepest essence is embodied in the Ma'aseh HaMitzvahs, mitzvahs, in Mahusin V'atzmusin Shel Penimis Chosodim. Ki Hatzilis, the soul of a person doesn't reveal this, no matter how high the soul is. Ki Hatzilis hu bechinas chaya beklalos ha'olemus. What's Hatzilis, the highest world? That's the whole generality of worlds is contained in Hatzilis, and the whole generality of Hatzilis B'ri Yitzir, Shehi bechinas makif milamayla. The Atzilus is a world which we've talked about many times before. It's mentioned in the Zohar, has a different characteristic. It has a sense of godliness in it that the lower worlds are blinded to as we go through the Seder of Histalshalos. But there's the Atzilus in every world. There's the Bri in every world, etc., etc. But these higher levels are makif. They're not really revealed. Milamayla, the Enemis Labeshes Bekli Klal, and they're not contained in a garment. What do we get from these upper worlds down here in this world and the lower worlds? We get something not of the mahus, of the essence, but we get something of the Metzias, the way God actualizes himself as he descends, as his Elokus descends lower and lower and lower. And we can get a feel for this through our meditative process and our meditative mind, where we feel something of love and fear in our mindfulness. And what it says, this is what it says about the notion of the prophetic vision. Although it's a prophetic, it's a deep, deep thing in the prophetic vision, but it's not seeing the essence of the thing. It's like seeing the backside. And that's the process of prophecy. The prophet sees, but he doesn't see essence. He sees godliness, and even godliness only, as it were, from the backside. Jehu hispashtis hagashmius. He sees the way, if he strips away all the physicality, especially hefshet, to take away. If he takes away all the layers and layers of thickening and coverings, then the prophet can see through that and see godliness. In the Zohar. Tam is that because through prayer or meditation or contemplation or comprehension alone, it's impossible for a created being to understand anything of the essence of godliness, which is the creator, not the creator. We can understand and have, if not hasaga, we can have some feeling for the energies of Hashem, which are part of the creation. Yeah, the creation, but not the creator. And without this, so you're not getting the essence of the godliness that's stored and inside of all the worlds. Now, contrast that being the contemplative state, the kavanadic state, the intellectual apprehension of, versus the esrog itself, and anything. I guess esrog is an example that you hold in your hand, by way of an example. So, and more than you may want to know, but here's the story. The essence, the Metzias, the existence of the Esrog, its life force, is being drawn and chaining down from the from the essence of the externality of the vessels of the Malchus. Malchus is called Nukva. Malchus is the channel by which all the upper flows come down, condense in Malchus, and then they recapitulate throughout the entire creation. Shehu b'chinas elokus, which is the flow that you're getting into this esrog is elokus, is godliness, as is written in Sefer Eitz Chaim. Shekol haperas be'atzilus. He writes that all the fruits are in atzilus, meaning a fruit here is just an example of all the devorim that you do mitzvahs with are just examples of all the things in this world are containers for the level of godliness itself, without any camouflage. Because remember, mitzvah, the simplest way of explaining this is the way the Rebbe always talked about it. Mitzvah is lashon savta b'chibur, connection. It connects the lowest with the highest. As we learned earlier from Sefer Yetzirah, the beginning is wedged in the end specifically. The Sefer Yetzirah dafka. It's dafka in the end. That's where godliness is in the davar mitzvah, in the davar ha-mitzvah, the thing with which you do the mitzvah. They are rooted in atzilus, and they reveal the essence of what's even higher than atzilus, what atzilus is getting, which is godliness itself. And these are the Lamed Kalim. Lamed Kalim refer to the 10 spheros, and then the 3 garments, 10 times thought, speech, and action, which is 30. So the spheros themselves and our thought, speech, and action, which this is where mitzvahs are done, right? Mitzvahs of thought, and we have mitzvahs of the heart, we have mitzvahs of thought, we have mitzvahs of speech, we have mitzvahs of action. So the Lamed Kalim of Atzilus, the 30 Kalim of Atzilus, Yordu Labiyah, they descended directly down into the lower worlds. And these are the 10 utterances with which the world was created. And they came into this world through, as it is in every world, through Malchus, which is the nukva, the feminine quality that receives everything in this world of Asiyah. Mahus b'mahus. And this is essence to essence, with no degradation, with no diminishing in between. Ki ha'kelim of Atzilus, the vessels of Atzilus, nasu neshama be'asiyah, they become the soul of the world of Asiyah. Shehi, which this neshama of Asiyah is bechinas elakus mamish, is godliness actually. Lefisha be'atzilus, because in the world of Atzilus, the world of Atzilus is a world where he and that which comes from him are one. There is a sense of something coming from him. That's what makes the world a world. It's something distinct from him. But that distinction does not disguise or obviate or negate the allness. It's a relationship may be difficult for us to grasp, but that while something in Atzilus is feeling itself, it's also feeling its selflessness at the same time. So the Kalim, the creations in Atzilus have a sense of elokus. And that's expressed by the Zohar. He and his causations, the causations being the netzolim, the emanated things in Atzilus, have a sense of oneness. Amaitzel v'hanetzel, as he says, the emanator with the emanated. Al yedei hislapshus mahus haneshama b'mahus hakelim b'nukva d'asiyah nishaba esrog. And it's through this process that al yedei saying it again. Through the enclothment of the essence of the neshama, in the essence of the vessels, again, through Malchus being the interface between upper and lower, in the world of Asiyah, Nasa ha'esrog, the esrog comes into being. Nimsa, so it comes out. Here's the bottom line. We're all putting all the other what we set aside. The bottom line. Nimsa, when you take the esrog and you shake it, according to halacha. All right, here's the punchline. How does that taifis mamish chiyuse amulubish boy? You're holding in your hand the life force which is enclosed within it. Minukva Atzilus, and that's true of anything. But this life force is undiluted. It's coming from Nukva Atzilus, from the from Malchus of Atzilus, Hamyuchedus Beor Ein Sof Hamaitzel Borhu, which Malchus of Atzilus is united with the Emanator himself. So you are holding explicit, exposed godliness in your hand when you hold or involved in a Masa HaMitzvah. Masha'ein Ken, the Kavanasa, when you have Kavana in performing the mitzvah, mitzvahs don't need Kavana, but Kavana gives us a sense of it, a deeper appreciation from it. But the Kavana of the mitzvah, that Kavana, in a Masa B'Tesef Yudei Asoid, you're not grasping him himself, even though you may even be meditating on the sod, the secret levels. You're not grasping godliness itself. You're getting the metzius, the existence of godliness, the effusion of godliness, the effulgence of godliness, what comes from godliness, but you're not holding godliness in your hand. The Lemahu says, he says, you're getting the metzius, the existence of it, but not the essence of it. However, belimit halachas esragu, when you learn the halachas of the esrag, masig b'tefes ha-esrag mamish. That's also holding the esrag, because the halachas are an expression. Remember, halachas are an expression of what God's panemius will is. It gives us more appreciation for it through our kavanas, and it causes, as we said earlier, the mitzvahs to rise up. But the ikar, the root, the tachlis, is in the body of the mitzvah itself. And similarly, when you learn the halachas, you're grasping you're learning about the tachlis of the entire purpose of creation. And your masig or taifis ha'esrog, it's like as if it's the same as grasping the esrog itself. And doing its mitzvah according to the halacha, the bechinis dibur machshava, where you have speech of the mitzvah, the bruchas. I'm not clear. I don't think that he's talking about the bruchas of the mitzvah. He's talking about mitzvahs of speech and mitzvahs of thought. We do have mitzvahs of thought, right? Da es elokei avicha is a commandment. Know your God with your faculty of das. And heart also, b'ahavta es Hashem elokecha b'chol levavecha, and mitzvahs of the heart. So, but those are mitzvahs, and to the extent that they are mitzvahs, whether they're mitzvahs of thought, mitzvahs of the heart, mitzvahs of deed, they're mitzvahs. And in all mitzvahs, you're grasping the mahus, the essence of godliness, not just the way godliness expresses itself. For kol shekain halayimid hasoid, and how much more so, of course, if you're actually learning the soid, the secret. Aval dafka soidis ha-mitzvah, and specifically when you're learning the sod, the secret of the mitzvah, the learning the sod of the mitzvah is as good as on the same level as performing the mitzvah according to halacha. On the contrary, even though you can't grasp the essence of the kavana, what you can grasp is the thing itself, and the thing itself is a container for godliness itself. I think that's the end. Yeah. That's today's Tanya. So we've always said it, Maisa Huayikr, but this is why Maisa Huayikr, because the Devar Mitzvah contains the mahus, the essence of God, godliness itself, not just the instantiation or the spreading out of godliness. Comments? Question? You got it?
One minute. It seems counterintuitive, obviously.
It is.
Because it's a piece of fruit. Come on,
It's totally. Beginning is wedged in the end. That's totally into essence in this little piece of fruit. Yep.
Yeah, and so it does require. I mean, first of all, it requires some acknowledgement that this is a mitzvah and the source of the mitzvah and the halachas and and that even if you don't understand, there's a inner meeting and you don't understand the secrets of the secrets of the secrets, but they're there and right. I mean, there has to be there. This is it's very interesting. It's very interesting. We can this is intellectualizing it, right?
Well, it's explaining it.
But yeah.
Or I put it this way, the most simple way, it's just stating a fact. The fact is that the beginning is wedged in the end, and the beginning is the mahus of godliness himself. I mean, it's contrary to what he says in the Ten Commandments. I've invested my very self in these things. And the Chazal asks, what do you mean? Don't steal, don't kill. These are things which any ordinary person would hold by. Yes, but when you don't steal or don't kill in accordance with the halachas of what is murder and what constitutes thievery and different levels of thievery, and you do that, you are getting an infusion of God's essence. And I mentioned this before, that's the reason that even though the psak halacha, so to speak, the law may be the same in the non-Jewish court as a Jewish court, one has to adjudicate questions of monetary value, for instance, in a Jewish court, because it's a difference when that law is being interpreted according to the understanding of Torah or whether only by the understanding of conventional law.
So it's not the end. The end didn't really matter. It's the process there.
Yeah, but I do. I mean, I'm pointing to the end. The end being it's in a Jewish court. It
Right.
can only be if you take a piece of kosher meat, because godliness is invested in those things in the court, in the Jewish court, kosher piece of meat and in the esrog.
Yeah, fascinating.
Yeah, it is. All right. Till we meet again.
Okay, B'sar Tova, Shlema, Aliyah Neshama, and all the good
Feel,
things.
feel better. Feel better.